Hi, I'm Randa Parrish with Prairie Quilt. This is a beautiful pillow that we made using Minkee and Texture Magic. The first thing that I want to tell you is this really isn't Minkee, although it looks like it. Minkee was a product that we used before, and now we use a product called Cuddle made by Shannon Fabrics. The reason we use Cuddle is because it is not nearly as stretchy as the Minkee. So you'll hear the word Minkee a lot in the sewing industry, and it's sort of like saying, I'll take a Coke, and you really mean a Pepsi. So this is Cuddle in actuality. Texture Magic is a really cool product that you sew to the back of a fabric and it shrinks the fabric. And that's how I got this piece. I just sewed in horizontal lines about 1 inch apart, and then I shrank it, and this is what I came up with. So the first thing you need to do is figure out how large of a piece of fabric you need, because Texture Magic will shrink. I'm going to do an 18-inch pillow, so I took 1.3 to figure out how much I would need. And that's 23.5 inches approximately. I added another 1.5 inches, so mine is actually 25. You wouldn't have to add the 1.5 inches, but the reason I did is because I like to be able to cut it easily, and because this is heavier, it shrinks a little bit differently than the other. I've got the Texture Magic. I had to cut a piece and piece it here. That won't matter a bit. I am going to put the raw edge on the top side here. This is the front of my Minkee. This is my Texture Magic. If you have to piece it, that's just fine. Do put that on the bottom part that's facing up to us right now. And I made an X on here with my Frixion pin, and I'm going to start pinning. This is kind of a slippery fabric, almost like a lining. And so sometimes the pins have a hard time staying in. So I'm just going to double pin it. You don't have to pin everywhere. And I like to start sewing from the first X right here, and then sew on each side of the X going all the way around. That way you're sewing from the beginning of the quilt. From the center, rather. That way you're sewing from the center of the quilt. I think it lays better that way. And I like to use a matching thread. Even though it does shrink up, you can still see the thread color a lot. Okay, so we've pinned it, and we're using the same thread on top and bottom to complement this. So we're just going to start at one corner and go across. And once you've gotten to where you've pinned it, then you can release those pins. Okay, I've made my first seam, so now I'm going to turn it and go the opposite direction. One of the things that I need to tell you is that Texture Magic, since it shrinks when it gets wet, cannot be ironed. So don't try to iron this out to smooth it out. Just spread it out with your hands. Okay, we've made our X. Now normally you would have to mark every inch on your fabric. But what we're going to use is this little seam guide. And this comes with most machines. It just fits right in here behind the ankle of the needle. And you can put that on 1 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that line right here. Just lift that up a little bit and start my next seam. Okay, so I've sewn my center seam and I've gone on both sides of it, so I'm going to do the very same thing on this side and then just keep sewing on both sides of this one and then turn around and go on this one. All right, we're back with you. We've sewn all of our cross-hatching stitches and we're ready to do the fun part. We're going to start steaming it so that it will shrink. All right, so I usually like to start in the center, but it doesn't really matter where you start. If you have a cheaper iron and it drips a lot and your fabric gets very wet, then just let it dry because sometimes it won't shrink when it's terribly wet. It makes all kind of funny shapes, and then as it completely steams up, then it starts flattening again. You'll still have a little curve on the edges. But don't put your iron down. When you do, then it gets turns almost like a plastic and it's real crunchy. And you don't want somebody to lay down on your pillow and have it go crunch. Let's look at it now. Oh, it looks great. Okay, so now what we're going to do is get our cutting mat, and we're going to cut this down. Our pillow is an 18-inch square pillow, so we want to have a 19-inch square to start with. I'm going to square this to a 19-inch square. Since my fabric, I'm cutting this to a 19-inch square so that I can put it on my pillow with a 1/2-inch seam. We've got the back of our pillow and the front of our pillow all pinned together. We've used the Creative Grids ruler to make the corners, to curve them, and we're going to sew a 1/2-inch seam on this. Now I'm leaving open an area here so we can turn it right side out. Okay. And we don't need to clip these corners or anything because they will turn very easily with this Minkee. Or not Minkee, sorry, this is actually Cuddle. I need to correct myself on that. I'm going to turn this right side out. And I'll get my pillow form and stuff it in. And I like to just kind of scrunch it in there. I sewed my curves, but that's all on this side so that I'd have enough room to get it in. Just straighten that out a little bit. Get that corner in there. Then we'll just slip stitch this by hand, and you have a beautiful, beautiful pillow for your divan. I hope you see us again at some of our other videos. We have other videos showing Minkee or Cuddle that I think you would really enjoy.